For as long as we've looked up at the night sky, we've wondered. But with our modern tools, that wonder has turned into a really, really high-stakes question. Should we deliberately announce that we're here, or is it just safer to listen? Okay, let's dive into this great cosmic debate.
I mean, it all starts with this, doesn't it? It's probably the most profound question we can even ask. The answer, whatever it ends up being, would change literally everything about how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. It's the whole reason we're even looking.
So this whole debate really splits into two main camps, with two totally different ideas. On one side, you've got SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. This is the cautious approach. We're just listening, passively scanning the skies. But then you have METI, messaging extraterrestrial intelligence. And this is the bold approach. This is actively shouting into the void, we're here.
All right, so why wouldn't we want to shout hello? Well, the argument for keeping quiet is actually rooted in a pretty deep and kind of unsettling mystery.
It's called the Fermi paradox. And here's the deal. The universe is so vast and so ancient that, statistically speaking, it should be absolutely crawling with life, even intelligent life. But when we actually look out there, we get nothing. We hear nothing, just silence. And that profound contradiction is known as the Great Silence.
This is the famous question that physicist Enrico Fermi supposedly asked way back in 1950, and it really gets to the heart of the problem. If all the math says aliens should be common, then where are they? That silence isn't just an absence of noise, it's a piece of data, and it might just be a warning.
And there are a ton of potential, and frankly, pretty sobering answers to this. Maybe intelligent life like us is just an incredible 1 in a trillion fluke? Or, and this is a chilling thought, maybe civilizations tend to wipe themselves out right before they can become interstellar. Or, hey, maybe we're just being intentionally left alone, like we're in some kind of cosmic zoo. The scary part is, we have no idea which of these, if any, is true.
And here's something else to wrap your head around: the time scale. Our technology, radio, rockets, all of it, is barely a century old. On a cosmic calendar, that is less than a second. So this means any civilization we manage to contact is almost guaranteed to be thousands, or maybe even millions of years ahead of us.
And that massive technology gap, well, it leads to this pretty stark warning from researchers. They've studied the scenarios, and they say that if an advanced civilization turned out to be hostile, the outcome for us would be catastrophic and final. Intentionally broadcasting our location could be an irreversible existential gamble.
But of course, that's only one side of the coin. For every voice screaming for caution, there's another one arguing that the greatest risk of all is just remaining silent and alone. So let's get into the case for connection.
The people who are for messaging often bring up this idea called the Great Filter. The theory is that there's some massive hurdle that stops most life from ever reaching an advanced, spacefaring stage. Now that hurdle could be anything: the jump to complex life, developing intelligence, or maybe, the most critical one, surviving long enough after you invent things that can destroy you, like nuclear weapons.
This quote right here really captures that optimistic view perfectly. The argument goes like this: any civilization advanced enough to receive our message must have already passed that great filter. They must have learned to manage their technology and their conflicts to survive for millennia. And a species like that would almost have to be cooperative, right? Not hostile. Because cooperation is just a better long-term survival strategy.
So for the folks in the METI camp, that cosmic silence isn't a warning, it's an invitation. They see these just unimaginable potential rewards: knowledge, perspective, and finally, an answer to that ultimate question. For them, the potential benefit for all of humanity is a risk absolutely worth taking.
So this isn't just some theoretical debate, Scientists are actively designing messages to send out. Let's take a look at a recent proposal called the Beacon in the Galaxy, just to see what we might actually say.
I mean, how do you even write a letter to an alien? You can't assume they see or hear or think anything like we do, so you've got to start from absolute first principles. The message is built up in these logical layers, going from the most universal concepts to the things that are very specific to us.
It all starts with the simplest thing possible: binary. Zeros and ones. On and off. It's the most basic form of math, and it's the thing we can be most confident that any other technological intelligence would understand, no matter what their biology or culture is like.
Okay, this part is just genius. The message basically builds a shared dictionary from the ground up. It starts by teaching our base 10 counting system using binary. Then it uses a universal constant of physics, something called the spin-flip transition of a hydrogen atom, to define our units for length and time. Once that shared language is set up, it can then describe our chemistry, and ultimately the building blocks of our biology, DNA.
The message also needs to tell them when we sent it. And to do that, it creates this incredible timeline starting from the Big Bang. It uses the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of creation, as a universal reference point, like a year zero. And then it just counts forward from there, using the ticks of that hydrogen atom clock to pinpoint the exact moment the message was sent. It's an unbelievably clever way to give our cosmic coordinates in time.
And after all that, after providing a map to our solar system, showing what we look like, the message ends with this really simple, direct image. It's a crystal clear request for a conversation. It's an invitation to write back.
So, we've got the means, we have a potential message all drafted up, and we're left standing here, faced with two profoundly different ways of looking at this great, silent cosmos. And this really lays out the choice we're facing. Is the silence a sign that, hey, maybe shouting into the jungle is a really bad idea? Or is it just an empty stage, waiting for someone to speak the first line? Is making contact an existential gamble we can't take back? Or is it our one shot at unimaginable discovery? The bottom line is, there is no consensus. Which really brings it all down to this one last personal question. This isn't just a thought experiment for scientists anymore. It's a decision that affects every single one of us. So, if the choice was yours, if you were standing right there in front of that button, would you press send?